30-year-old Lucy Letby has been rearrested as part of an investigation which began in 2017.
Lucy Letby was entrusted to protect some of the most vulnerable babies. In her hands, innocuous substances like air, milk, or medication like insulin would become lethal.
Lucy Letby belonged to Chester, a historic city in England. People knew her as an ordinary nurse at the Countess of Chester Hospital. She worked in a neonatal unit, a place meant for sick and premature babies. However, instead of caring for them, she became the cause of many parents' worst nightmares.
Why would she? Why would a nurse, whose job it was to care for babies, murder and harm them in the hospital where she worked?
Many babies died during or right after her shifts, which raised suspicions about her actions. The case of Lucy Letby, a 33-year-old former neonatal nurse at the Countess of Chester Hospital, has left the world stunned and bewildered. Letby's arrest and subsequent conviction for the murder and attempted murder of several infants have raised important questions about the psychology that could drive someone to commit such heinous acts.
A former nurse has been charged with 8 counts of murder and 10 counts of attempted murder following an investigation into baby deaths at the Countess of Chester Hospital. 30-year-old Lucy Letby has been rearrested as part of an investigation which began in 2017.
Delving into the motivations and factors behind her actions sheds light on the intricate interplay between individual psychology, the healthcare environment, and the quest for control. Lucy Letby was born on January 4, 1990, in Hereford, England. She eventually attended Hereford Sixth Form College and then pursued a nursing degree at the University of Chester. In September 2011, she graduated from nursing school, becoming the first in her family to complete a college education. It was the beginning of her journey to becoming the woman who will go down in UK history as a modern-day monster, a prolific serial killer of children.
Why would she? Why would a nurse, whose job it was to care for babies, murder and harm them in the hospital where she worked?
Letby joined the Neonatal Unit at the Countess of Chester Hospital in 2011. She was an avid fundraiser for the Neonatal Unit and was celebrated by the hospital as an example of the dedicated nurses they employed. In a 2013 interview, she described her job as caring for a diverse range of babies requiring various levels of support. She spoke about how much she loved seeing their progress and helping their families. However, with Letby at the helm, the Neonatal Unit began to experience a disturbing trend. A spike in the number of unexplained infant deaths and life-threatening incidents raised concerns. These events were statistically anomalous compared to other hospitals, prompting the medical community to take notice. Victoria and Michael Whitfield had a horrifying encounter with her in November 2013. Victoria once found Lucy lingering over her baby, Felicity, in the early morning hours. When Victoria approached, Lucy just stared blankly at her and then walked away. After some time, alarms began sounding, signaling an emergency with Felicity. She survived because Victoria may have interrupted Lucy in time, but not without a serious medical scare. Another tragic case involved a set of twins. 5 days after their birth, one of the boys suddenly became unwell while under Lucy's care. The father found his baby in distress with blood around his mouth, with Lucy seemingly unfazed by the emergency. The heartbreaking revelation was that Lucy had injected air into the baby's bloodstream. The baby didn't survive, and in a chilling act of cruelty, Lucy even offered to bathe the baby in front of the grieving parents. The first few deaths did not strike the hospital supervisor as particularly worrisome.
Pediatricians were discussing, the terrible nights on call that they were having. One of them said, every time this is happening to me, that I'm being called in for these catastrophic events which were unexpected and unexplained, Lucy Letby is there. And then somebody else said, yes, I found that. And then someone else had the same response. And they all realised that the common factor for each of them was Letby's presence on the unit.
After all, newly born babies are incredibly fragile and sometimes die even when the best of care is provided to them. In February 2016, a concerning observation was made by Dr. Ravi Jayaram, who noticed Letby watching a baby who had seemingly ceased breathing. The young blonde stood over the infant, who was turning purple and blue, with soulless, expressionless eyes. This disturbing view prompted Dr. Jayaram to think about what he had been saying all along. Those who care for infants always know if an infant is not going to make it. All the babies who had died on Lucy's watch were not under any particular threat that would kill them. Finally, matching the shift timings to the times of the death, urgent concerns were raised by Dr. Breary, who requested a critical meeting with hospital leaders in March 2016, emphasizing the need to discuss Letby's plausible role in these horrific occurrences.
You'll find that the prompts for action come from outside the system, because the system ignores its own people.
Despite 2 more near-fatal incidents in the following months, the hospital's senior management hesitated to take action, allowing Letby to continue working. By the end of June 2016, the situation reached a crisis point. Another infant collapsed, and 2 out of 3 triplets died suddenly. Dr. Breary described a tense atmosphere in the unit, with staff members struggling emotionally, contrasting with Letby's seemingly unaffected demeanor. Despite insistence from 7 consultants, the hospital was reluctant to remove Letby from her duties. It took several more shifts and another near-fatal incident before Letby was finally reassigned, and sure enough, the deaths stopped occurring. By early 2017, despite the growing body of evidence, there was still no police inquiry. Letby, stating that she was growing tired of the finger-pointing, filed a grievance. In fact, when a cursory investigation did not reveal conclusive evidence, the 2 supervisors had to apologize to Lucy for suspecting her of wrongdoing. This discovery was a clear sign of poisoning, and the fingers pointed towards the nurses on duty, the ones in the closest contact with the babies in the ward. The investigators faced the challenge of identifying the perpetrator among the staff.
We paediatricians were certainly concerned that someone, and suspicions fell on Lucy Letby, could have been harming and perhaps killing patients on the unit.
As they delved into the numerous incidents at the hospital, Letby's name repeatedly surfaced. A simple but revealing table showed Letby's presence at every suspicious incident from June 2015 to June 2016. As the death toll rose, hospital supervisors and colleagues started observing Letby's actions more closely. Some noticed discrepancies in her behavior and treatment of the infants. Her approach often deviated from standard medical practices, yet these early warnings were not immediately linked to the tragic outcomes. The first major red flag was raised when a pattern emerged linking Letby's presence to the timing of these incidents.
How would you describe the crimes of Lucy Letby?
Horrible, horrific and evil.
We're talking about tiny babies in a setting where they should have been really safe.
It was noted that the rate of unexplained deaths and collapses was significantly higher during her shifts. A little over a year later, on July 3, 2018, Letby was arrested on suspicion of 8 counts of murder and 6 counts of attempted murder. The investigation expanded to include Liverpool Women's Hospital, another place of her employment, revealing no harm to patients. She was released on bail on July 6, 2018, but was rearrested on June 10, 2019, in connection with 8 alleged murders and 9 attempted murders. Lucy Letby was taken in for questioning about the deaths of several children. She lied to the police and tried to say that the deaths were just coincidences, but the police used the notes found from her computer and diary as evidence. One note said, "I am evil, I did this." These notes were used in her trial as evidence. Some people think these notes are confessions from Lucy. However, even with these notes, Lucy pleaded not guilty in court. During her trial, the courtroom heard heart-wrenching statements from the victims' families. Parents spoke of their unimaginable loss and the betrayal of trust. They had placed their newborns in the care of the hospital, only to have their lives tragically cut short.
This has been a long and emotional journey for all of the families involved in this case. I speak on behalf of the entire prosecution team when I say that all of their babies will forever be in our hearts. I would like to thank all of the families in this case for their exceptional resilience and strength throughout this entire investigation.
Letby, maintaining her innocence, presented a defense that seemed at odds with the weight of evidence against her.
We are extremely sorry that these crimes were committed at our hospital. Since Lucy Letby worked at our hospital, we have made significant changes to our services. And I want to provide reassurance to every patient that may access our services that they can have confidence in the care that they will receive.
On July 10th, 2023, after a trial that lasted over 9 months, the jury began deliberations. Verdicts were delivered on several days starting from August 8th. Ultimately, Letby was found guilty of 7 murders and 6 attempted murders.